Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf. Hi from Daily Cloud, and I'm thrilled to be here with Tiffany Justice of Moms for Liberty. Tiffany, welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. So we invited Tiffany as our ninth profile in Courage because she has co-founded with her colleague and fellow mom Tina Deskovich an incredible, really active organization that's national and growing fast called Moms for Liberty. And Tiffany is speaking to us from Florida. She's a wife and mom of 4 school-aged children. In 2016, she stepped up to serve for 4 years on the school district of Indian River County, Florida School Board. She believes that kids in public school deserve innovation and parents have the right to know the union interference and government bureaucracy that is keeping that innovation from happening in their children's district. And we've been chatting about how quickly they're growing. So tell me about Moms for Liberty, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've grown quite a bit. We started here in Indian River County and St. Lucie County and Brevard County, so 3 counties on the east coast of Florida. We've now spread to Collier County, and we have different people talking about whether or not they'd like to start a chapter. Really, really being honest about what it takes to step up and do that, that there will be some different issues that you'll deal with. And so, trying to help build a support system around moms so they feel like they're not alone, right? Because it's hard to one day be making lunches and working and then all of a sudden be like, oh, and I'll start a chapter of a group in my community and hold chapter meetings and right. It's difficult. And so we trust moms. We believe in them. We trust parents, and we just want to try to help unite them. So yeah, you asked about the country. We have a chapter starting in Washington State.
Wow.
We have a chapter in New York on Long Island, and every state's educational system is different. It's very interesting. We know a lot about Florida. I'm learning about different school systems and districts across the country and the way they work. But really trying to build a network of like-minded people who believe in parents and want to stand up for kids across the country to work together, because some of the issues are very common.
Mm-hmm. So you led right into my next question. What would you say the mission is exactly of Moms for Liberty? When people contact you, what are they worried about? I mean, I reached out to you because I was impressed that you want to open up schools again, as I understand it. So what are moms and dads concerned about when they call you and say, I need to be part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it depends on where they live. Honestly, I think different places in our country are on different timetables. And because of the pandemic, because of COVID, because we want to make sure that people feel safe and that we're, creating a healthy environment for teachers and students, it just depends on where you are in the country. And that's the thing. Naomi, I think it's important that we don't reinvent the wheel every time we go to a different area and they're opening up or they're learning to, or they're doing new things. If something's working in a state, those are all of our tax dollars, right? We, if we're putting federal money into education and stimulus across the country, let's learn from each other. And it can't just be the union leadership and the politicians that are making the decisions for kids' education. Parents need to get involved, speak up, and start being decision makers, start sitting at the table.
So you've identified unions specifically, and there's been a lot of discussion, or I'm hearing from a lot of parents saying, my child needs to go back to school. This is not sustainable. And there's a lot of scientific data now showing that kids really are not at real risk from coronavirus, but teachers' unions, I keep hearing in different states, are hesitant to allow teachers back in classrooms. Is that an issue of yours, or am I misunderstanding that?
No, it's definitely an issue. No, it's definitely an issue for us. I think we're at a crisis point in education in the United States because for a long time, parents have trusted teachers, and the teachers' unions are supporting the teachers. We love teachers. I want to be very clear. We are parents. We know that teachers' partnership in helping to educate our children is crucial, and we support it. But we do not support union leadership making bad decisions for families, and really pitting parents against teachers, which we don't appreciate. And, Naomi, we're putting a stake in the ground. We're not going to allow anyone to pull us away from our kids' teachers. We want to work together.
So could you be a little more specific? Give me some examples. And I mean, specifically, if you could wave a magic wand and get what you think is missing in Florida, in your own school district, or in other school districts where parents are reaching out to you, what is it exactly? Would it be reopening schools safely? Would it be having less, interference from the federal government? Like, what's your agenda? Sorry to put. Want to really.
No, you're fine. So, I mean, I think that this is an important topic because a lot of people have tried to say like, oh, well, you're for opening schools, so you don't care about X, Y, Z. And that's not the case. We're liberty-minded individuals. We trust people to make good choices. I think part of the reason that Florida has led the way that we've been able to is that the governor and his leadership team has tried to allow people to make good choices. And so we want to be trusted to not only make choices about our health, but to make choices for our families. And we want to empower other parents to feel that way. So when you say be specific, what I see happening in Chicago public schools is a travesty.
Can you tell me exactly what you mean by that for those who are not?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're opening, we're not opening, we're hybrid, maybe we're not hybrid, maybe we go to school on Wednesday, maybe we don't. It is decaying the confidence that the public has in public education. And so in this moment, in this, breaking point moment, is it a breakdown? Is it a breakthrough? How do we move forward? The one thing that we are not going to be willing to do is we are not going to be willing to move forward without parents. We believe in parents. We trust moms to make good decisions, as I've said before, and we want to help them to make informed decisions and to feel strong.
So I totally hear you. And, people who kind of follow my journey know that it's a little bit painful for me that I am such a fan of hearing sentences like we're liberty-minded parents. And I come from the left, and I wish I heard that more on the left. I don't know if you see yourselves as partisan, but it is the red states that are kind of using that language more than the blue states these days. And Florida, of course, has been using that language and being more kind of liberty oriented in their, in the governor's approach to dealing with restrictions. But let me ask concretely, even if you could empower parents completely, say in Chicago, parents can't open schools without teachers. So how do you get around that if the teachers don't want to come in, right? Or if the teachers union is opting, and I'm very worried about the impact of multi like hundreds of millions of dollars going to distance learning, ed tech for these distance learning platforms interfering with organic decisions to go back to school. Like, how can you what can you do, right? If the teachers don't want to go to school, they've got a union, your kids, have to get into a classroom. What's the solution there, Tiffany?
For adults to start acting like adults and putting kids first.
Yeah, but then what? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean
happens at that, but no, you're fine. You're absolutely right. In starting the chapters, Naomi, honestly, one thing I think I love about women so much is that we all kind of know our strengths, especially as we get older, and we're comfortable working together to empower each other to use those strengths. There's not a lot of competition in the community-minded approach of that way. So we're hoping that we're going to see leaders bubble up in chapters. And then I'm hoping to see those leaders, say, hey, have you ever thought about running for school board? Have you ever thought about running for county commission? Do you know that that's something that you can do? Here, we'll help you.
Well, can I ask a dumb question? I mean, so I get it. And there's been, that strategy has succeeded before from other groups with other goals and interests of getting people to run for the school board and then create coalitions on the school board. I would have thought you'd also be using your powers, you grow your membership, to press governors and to press elected officials to reopen schools and to put pressure presumably on the unions as well. Is that also part of your mission?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping, you say open schools. I want schools open because it's what's best for kids. As a mom of 4 children, 16, 13, 11, and 9, I know that kids belong in school. I need to look no further than my own home to see the impact that last spring had on my children. And in Florida, while we opened schools, there was great variance from district to district about the way that happened. So we had in-person schooling, but different districts had different things about quarantining and contact tracing. We're 6 months ahead of other parts of the country, Naomi. Yeah. We really are. So, we see an ability to try to help some of these other districts that are opening now, that are tackling these issues about quarantining, about masking, about social distancing, and saying, we've done it safely. Let us help you.
Well, thank God for you. And I say that as a stepmom because no, seriously, I have a 9-year-old stepson and he has to wear a mask outside in a demographic in which he has virtually zero risk of either transmitting coronavirus or getting sick from coronavirus. And it's painful to me, and I see a change in him. I see him becoming less engaged and less emotionally alert. These are experiments, on our children. And I think this generation is going to be traumatized unless we get them back into face-to-face school, back with their friends, allowed to have a normal childhood. So, thank God for you, really. So I understand what you're saying. It sounds like you're not wanting to give me a cookie cutter answer about what you do, because it sounds like, don't let me put words in your mouth, you're taking a liberty-minded approach of letting solutions bubble up from the bottom, and when there are best practices, bringing them kind of organically to other states, other people reach out to you. Is that a fair way to summarize your...
Absolutely, and I think that's the way women work. I mean, honestly, when I served on the school board, Naomi, my last few months, obviously, my term ended in November. I had been there for 4 years. And I had parents coming up crying at the podium. My son has attention. I've been treating my son holistically for attention deficit. We've been doing different things. It's reached a point now that with the mask, I'm having to make a choice about medicating him. I mean, I start to cry as a mom. And I had never seen the district, even the other board members I served with sometimes, being so dismissive of a parent concern. Because if it had been anything else, if in any other moment a parent had come up and said, my son is struggling with this and no one's listening to me, the brakes would have screeched, right? Everyone's going to say, wait a second, what's going on? But in this situation, it was kind of like, well, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So your concerns for your child aren't that important.
Wow. So that's what I'm seeing and hearing, that it trumps everything. And I've heard the most appalling stories from every parent and teachers too, like conscientious teachers. I just want to share, and I know that people watching will really resonate to this because there are a million stories out there, but I talked to someone who was running a vintage shop in my local little town, and she was the mom of a 9-year-old, and she said that he has neurological problems and she doesn't want to vaccinate him because he already has neurological problems, and she's going to have to advocate with his neurologist and the school to, not vaccinate him in Massachusetts. And my little stepson, when he goes back to school, he has to say where he's been and who he's been with, and if anyone from outside of, his state has been in contact with him. And on the one hand, you can say, well, yes, it's a public emergency. On the other hand, it's extraordinarily controlling and intrusive, and they won't let him, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, they won't let him go back to school unless he's had a flu shot. When did that become the state's decision instead of the parents' decision? So I see this chipping away of parents being able to decide what's best for their kids. Honestly, it worries me as a student of history, because this is what the Soviet Union did. This is what the Nazis did. Is what, communist China does. Every totalitarian state tries to intervene decision-making between parents and children. So it's very, very scary. So I'm very glad that you're speaking up about this, but let me just ask a very concrete question. Say you get someone on the school board, say you get a majority on the school board in Chicago. Can the school board overrule the teachers union about, how to open schools and going back to schools? Is that how it works?
Well, no. I mean, the teachers union is negotiating with, I guess, the mayor of Chicago at this point. Again, I said the structure is very different in different places. What was important about where we were in Indian River County was we did have the ultimate authority. And it was great, Naomi. I want to say something. I want to say thank you to you. No, because parental rights and liberty are not partisan issues.
Right. That's true.
These are not partisan issues. We have to stop letting people divide us. We need to unite as moms, stand up for our kids, because in the school district that I was a board member in, we had the ultimate authority, but they shirked it. And I kept asking, there's video after video, and I said, I just want to know, who has the say? Do we have the say? If we have the say, then let's take a vote.
Yeah.
But where does the authority lie? Because when everyone is saying, well, if everything's a recommendation,
right,
where does the authority lie? And that was very important. And I think parents, it's a spider web. It's very difficult as a parent to navigate within your school district. And sometimes, Naomi, as much as I hate to say it, I don't think they make it easy for parents. Parents have become more of an inconvenience than being considered the true partner that they are. Parent involvement is the number one driver of student success. We cannot survive in this country without it. We cannot.
So practically, and again, sorry to keep pushing, but
no, you're fun.
On all these desperate parents in different school districts, granted every state is different, they want to reopen schools. I'm hearing you say it's hard to understand, it's hard to negotiate. I believe you, there's a lot of money at stake to keep parents disempowered, basically, and to keep special interests running what happens to our kids, whether it's Pearson and teaching to the test, or the new, vast and, distance learning, or, the teachers. These are all special interests, and parents don't have a lobby. I hope that you are becoming the lobby for parents. But having said that, what can you do? Can you bring lawsuits? Can you, just create a nationwide or a statewide movement of parents to put pressure on governors?
That's what we're working on. Yeah, I think we're working on uniting people under a common understanding. I don't care if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, it doesn't matter. Do you want to be able to make good decisions for your children? Do you want to be trusted as an American citizen to make good choices for you and your family? And I don't believe it's a partisan issue. I believe all people want to be valued and respected.
Right.
And I want to start working together to do that. Our kids deserve it. Nobody's going to fight for their future like we are.
Have you had any successes you've organized? Do you see a change now that you've organized in the issues that you're tackling?
No, I think it's interesting, when you look at the United States government and the way that it's set up, and we look at the judicial system, I think with the election and a lot of the issues that happened, it's undermined people's confidence in the judicial system, which is dangerous, right? Yeah. What we're seeing is that there are lawsuits that are popping up in different places. Judges are very hesitant to jump in on this, right? So we are seeing lawsuits happening, but here's the thing, Naomi. If you're a school district, we'll take the school district that I was a part of. Mm-hmm. They have about a $300 million budget. If they get sued, there's no limit to the amount of money they can spend. Meanwhile, we've got a GoFundMe, and not me. There's a group of parents have a GoFundMe that they started, and they've got scraping together $6,000. There's just it's like, David and Goliath. There's just no comparison. So districts, parents really don't have a seat at the table. And, we say it feels like our kids are on the menu. It's like, here they are, yours for the taking, and how do parents have any recourse? So very, very difficult to do through the judicial system right now. I'll be honest, I don't think anything scares a legislator more than a group of moms banded together to fight for their kids. They start getting postcards on their desks, seeing that parents are united behind a cause.
Right. That's true. So basically you're talking about old-fashioned grassroots community organizing to put pressure on the legislature, which I can tell you really does move the dial. Our platform, Daily Clout, this is what we do. And we've seen that when a small group of people, it doesn't even take that many, are organized to pressure, a governor or to pressure an assembly person. Actually, at a state level, you can get much more done than at a federal level. So I get what you're doing, and you're going about it the right way. And it sounds like you're nonpartisan, right?
Yes, we are nonpartisan. Yeah, we are. There's no doubt that a lot of the principles that we're founded on are conservative principles. But as you stated earlier, I think they're shared principles. They're founding principles of our country. And if there's anything that we can get back to, listen, we're going to disagree on stuff, right? But if we can agree on some common principles and move forward from there, That's how we set an example for our kids.
Actually giving me chills because I'm just, this is my second round of children to raise. I have big ones and then I remarried and have a little one. But every time I think about the group of parents waiting for their kids outside of school, people would talk about what was wrong or talk about what they wanted or, want change or want to have an impact. And absolutely, even the most privileged parents or parents from all walks of life are disempowered. They didn't know how to make a difference. They didn't know how to organize. And I'm just really getting chills because I can totally see how if there are 50 moms, and as you say, like nothing stops that energy, right? You would, lie down on train tracks for your kids. But 50 moms with, some dads as backup when someone needs a nap, that is unstoppable if they're organized. So it's really, really exciting. What are some other issues in addition to opening the schools that you are interested in? I see that you're interested in charter schools and charter applications. I see that you're also interested in teaching about liberty to kids. So is that a fair summary of some of the other issues you care about?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in school choice, whether that's within your district itself through your traditional and charter public schools, or if that's another choice that you choose for your child, homeschooling or private school. We believe that parents know their kids and we trust them to make the best choices for them. Mm-hmm. I've seen charter schools done really well, and I've seen them done not so well. And as a school board member who I truly love public school, I've seen the difference that it can make in children's lives. I believe it's important, and it's a part of the fabric of our country. And so I want to help support it, but you can't support something that you see going the wrong direction. You have to stand up and say that it's not right. So, with charter schools, there have been some charter schools where I've said, this is not okay here. Something's going on as a school board member. I've done that with traditional schools too, but I believe within your district, within your area, if there's a school that has choices for your child that are better or a better program, you should be able to make that choice. Other issues we're interested in, once we get kids back in school, Naomi, I think we need to get back to teaching kids the basics. Yeah. Like, we've had, when you talk about a year of lost learning, compound that with the learning losses that children sometimes enter our schools with at kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. Children learn to read up to third grade, and then from third grade on, they read to learn. And so the focus needs to be on literacy. We believe in teaching the kids the basics. But, Naomi, I'm not going to lie. I want to raise my kids. I want to work on the morals with them and help guide them in their life. So I think, are you familiar with Jamie Vollmer? Have you ever read any of his books? He wrote a great book. It's called Schools Can't Do It Alone. And he talks a little bit about all of the things that have been added on to the public school curriculum since the beginning of public school. Not a minute's been added to the school day, but we keep putting more and more on our public school system to take care of. And so, really redefining those boundaries of where the responsibility lies for different things in for parents and for teachers.
God, it's giving me such an identity crisis that I love this so much.
Start a chapter.
Seriously, I'm tempted. And a lot of people listening will be like, how do I sign up? Awesome. Let's go back just for a minute to kids, that lost year of school. The other person I wanted to tell you about is a teacher in my community, and she's horrified. And this just doesn't even make sense to me, but I've heard it more than once, and I've heard it in more than one country. She says that with the distance learning that she's instructed to do or, mandated to do as a public school, high school teacher, she can't see the kids. And they have the option of turning off the video and just listening to the sound, but she can't see their reaction. They're not engaging with their students. I don't even understand how anyone could give that direction. And I've heard that more than once in more than one state, actually in more than one country. I don't get that. And the other thing she said, and she was like moved to tears, is that there are kids just disappearing, like teenagers, right? They won't see them. They don't know what's wrong. They're not coming into school. The teachers can't pick up if there's abuse or neglect or drug addiction or, a bullying boyfriend who's being abusive and so they lose touch with the kids, and the kids just vanish. They fall off the grid. They fall through the cracks. A teacher or a school associate might go to the home and make contact, but that's it. That child is lost. There's no way to draw that teenager back. And this just was so chilling to me because for millennia, well, certainly for 200 years since there have been public schools, there's been a promise or an expectation that we would educate children and they would show up to be educated. And now it's like the grown-ups have said, we're not going to educate you. It doesn't matter. You can turn off the screen. We're not going to look for you. We're not going to let you come back to school. And I just think that's a massive, disruption of the human promise. And I was just so horrified. So have you heard about this? Teachers being told you can't make them turn on the video, and teachers losing touch with kids. What are other harms you've heard of that kids are going through with lockdown?
I think you've touched on a lot of it. I mean, we know that there's a mental health aspect to this. There is no doubt kids need to be active. They need to be outside. They need to be around their friends. And so, again, I don't need to look further than my sophomore daughter. I won't talk too much because she'll kill me if I talk about her in public, but, definitely took its toll, right? So we know that there are mental health issues that are not being addressed. And we know that, Naomi, that's the thing. For so long, we've heard so much about social emotional health in children and the importance of, I used Dr. Becky Bailey, conscious discipline in my home, the idea of, connecting students to their emotions. And all of a sudden we've told them no, but we really don't. Right. We really don't care, but or we're not that concerned. To go back to Chicago, the idea, or just any school district where there's this, there's no routine. Maybe you have school on Monday. Maybe you don't have school on Monday. Maybe you go on Wednesday. Maybe you don't. Children thrive on routine. So just that disruption to the learning, just that idea in the child's mind or in the parent's mind of, is education important to the people who are supposed to be holding education, right? Who are supposed to be helping us with that? It is decaying at the confidence. And I mean, the time is now to really, I say all the time, we've got to place a stake in the ground. We have to say children matter. Their future matters. We care about them, and we're going to start making some sacrifices as adults. Right? And we're going to start looking forward for our kids. There are so many issues that students have dealt with. As far as the cameras and the privacy stuff, tough question. It's different different districts have different rules.
Is that why it's a privacy issue? That's why they don't have to turn on their screen?
There are some privacy issues locally here. Private schools, for example, were filming the teachers giving the lessons. So if a student was quarantined, they could go home, but then still log in to be able to interact, right? So they could watch their teacher.
Right.
I asked at a school board meeting why we couldn't do that.
Well,
yeah. It was our union contract.
My God. Oh my God. This is so heartbreaking. Well, look, you've covered so much.
I'm trying.
No, really impressive. It's really important. I'm sure people watching have a million, questions and concerns that they want to bring to you. So if people want to help you, as I do now, how do they reach out, and what's the best way for them to support you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just suggest that they go to our website, which is momsforliberty.org. They can sign up there. They can learn more about us. They can join the national group. That way they can stay connected. And then they can either, I know that starting a chapter may not be for everyone, right? So maybe they know a friend who might be interested. Start talking about Moms for Liberty in your community, and hopefully we can get a chapter started, and, you'll start to build your mom army too.
Sign me up. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much. And thank all those other moms fighting for their kids that you're in contact with. I'm so grateful to you. It's Tiffany Justice, Moms for Liberty, Daily Clout, Profile and Courage. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thanks, Naomi.
Bye-bye.
Bye.